Hello, it's Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today I'm going to bring you a reading with a new deck that I have called Sooth divination cards. And they're brand new to me, so I'm just learning them. But I wanted to bring in a Hebrunes reading and Nordic rune reading with them today because I found them really interesting. But they are kind of in-depth. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to pull out just 2 cards today. And then we'll do some readings with the runes and Hebrunes on top of those. But since they are kind of in-depth, I just wanted to do 2. And you could choose which one you like based on, well, just how you feel into them. And I'm going to shuffle them up, take out 2 cards, lay them down, and we're going to do a reading that's just what's going on right now for you in this time coming up toward the full moon of the month of Adar. Maybe we'll do a reading about joy, since that's what the theme of the month is. What's the joy that's coming in right now? There's one of our cards. And let's see. This will be our second card. All right. So take a minute to determine which of these 2 cards is calling to you today. This is card number 1 on the left and card number 2 on the right. And then we'll do some Hebrunes and runes on top of each of these. So choose your card, and I will look forward to seeing you in your separate readings. Hello, card number 1. So let's take a moment to flip our card first and see what we have here. All right, I'll bring that up so you can see her. And then we're going to read a little bit about this card before we get into the runes and Hebrunes. Let me zoom that in. Get a nice close picture. This card is called Our Lady of the Amber Loom. Our Lady of the Amber Loom. And this is what it says. Click, clack, the loom weights sing. Click, clack, click, clack, as the shuttle passes in and out of the warp, wefting the world. At the beginning of every world is an old woman in a cave on a mountain peak, weaving a beautiful web from the wool at her distaff. Here, her distaff is a fig tree. Her wool is what the clouds are full of after a storm. Her hands are all she needs to warp, to weft, to make the threads of time. Every story known to her people is in her breast. Every possible path, every journey over the 7 mountains, beyond the thrice 9 realm, following a ball of golden thread, given to the seeker to find the one he loves, to find the one she lost. You have followed the sound of her weaving all the way up to the mountain, all the way to her cave, to the sanctuary of Our Lady of the Amber Loom. It is a shallow cave, whitewashed, bathed in sun. The floors and walls are covered in the folds of her unending tapestry. She stands in the center, weaving at a loom whose posts are made of amber. The loom is Jurassic. It rested at the bottom of the Baltic Sea long before the human voice spoke. So Our Lady of the Amber Loom sings while she weaves in her sanctuary of patterned light. The sound of her working calls you one step further in. You know that amidst her song is the sound of your own destiny, your own story, a colored thread like no other. Go inside, into the warm peace of her weaving cave, into the world-steadying sound of her hands making the fabric of life. Then ask her, as every journeyer has in all the old stories from all the old times, for that golden ball of thread that's just your own, to follow over hill and valley, through the hagstone to the chapel and out again, the one that will lead you to your heart's desire. Our Lady of the Amber Loom. So what I like about these cards is that they are kind of mysterious and interesting and almost archaic. But it seems to be speaking about finding your thread in the tapestry of all things. So let's pull out some Hebrunes today to see if we can find maybe a little bit of clarity about what joy we can find in this amber loom thread. I'm going to do, let's see, I think I'll do 3 Hebrunes, and then we'll see how many Nordic runes come as well. So we have Kaf, we have Tav, and we have Pei. Kaf, Tav, and Pei. And then let's see about the Nordic runes. Oh, got 3 as well. Okay, we have Fehu, Hagalaz, and Weird. All right, so what's our joy bringing in today? What is this thread that's being woven into the tapestry? So on the Nordic rune side, we have Fehu, and Fehu at the top it's the first letter of the Futhark. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. And it's about wealth and worth. And it's not money exactly, it's the thing that one tends that brings them riches, a richness in their life. So it could be relationships, it could be cattle, it could be a tapestry, it could be a weaving that you're doing, some kind of story. Whatever it is that brings you wealth and worth in your life. It could be, again, the friendships or relationships that you tend, or some passion that you have that you really work at that brings you wealth. And that's what's going to bring you joy right now in this moment as we're looking at that tapestry, that big weaving of all the different threads that come through our life. But your particular tending is the thing that right now it's important to lean into to bring joy into your life. On the Hebrew side, we have Kaf. And Kaf is the letter that begins the word koach, so it's strength. It's also, or power rather. Strength, power, I guess. And it's also representative of the palm of a hand, or the sole of a foot, or something that one puts over their head. Keter is a crown, and kippah is a hat. So something that is powerful, that sits above our head. And it's the binary transformation of wealth and poverty. Again, so it's about wealth and worth. We've got wealth and worth on both sides here. And finding our wealth in the things that really matter, rather than thinking about it in terms of money. So it's interesting that on both sides we have something about worth and wealth. But again, it's not money. It's not money. It's something that's powerful. It's something that is maybe shielding us from something more dangerous, or lifting us up like the palm of the hand. It could be something that's oppressing us, but since it's in the position of what is up right now, that is, we're talking about bringing in joy right now in the month of Adar, and it's our personal weaving, according to the Lady of the Amber Loom. So something about wealth and worth and power that isn't necessarily money. So that's what's really up right now. That's the thing that's important. Finding out if is it family, is it your hobby, is it your employment, whatever that might be, that isn't the money itself, but the thing that you do, the thing that you tend, It's going to bring us power, and it's going to bring us wealth. Fascinating. The center position, we have what is the fear or the challenge in our situation. And the fear or the challenge on the Nordic rune side is Hagalaz. Hagalaz is the hailstorm. It is chaos. And it is something that's going to be unexpected and incredibly powerful. But it's also important to remember that Hagalaz is weather. It's something that comes and goes. So although we may be experiencing something really chaotic right now in our life, whatever it might be, that chaos is temporary. And it's something that's understandably something that we might fear. Something that is out of our control, really, is what Hagalaz is about. Things out of our control. So that's something that we're going to have to, tend to, that we're going to have to deal with, that it's coming in. But the thing to remember is, of course, it cannot affect what's the big picture. It can't affect the big picture. We might have some impurity in that thread that comes through our weaving, but it will give texture to the picture that's being woven here. On the Hebrew side, we have the letter Tav. And Tav is a signature, or a seal, or a stamp. It's the final letter in the Hebrew alphabet. So it's something that's coming to an end as well. But because it's the last letter, it's seen as that signature on the alphabet. And I find that really interesting with regards to Hagalaz, because Hagalaz is that impurity or that chaotic thing that might be, again, out of our control. But it gives some texture and interest to the piece. Because if everything's completely uniform in a tapestry, it kind of, may be beautiful in its perfection, but it doesn't have anything specific that's signing it, that you can tell it from anything else. So the fear or the challenge here is to accept that this might be considered an imperfection is actually giving more character to the tapestry. That those things which, when there's a weaving and there's something that's a little bit bumpy or just a slightly different color, it makes that piece all the more interesting to look at. So the Tav also represents something that's coming to an end. So there may be some fear around endings and completion, but I'm thinking of it more in terms of this idea of this signature, something that's going to make this piece unique to you. And although that's a fear or a challenge, it's something to recognize that that's what keeps it interesting, is that chaos, that imperfection, that signature that allows you to know, this is my piece in the tapestry. And our outcome is the bottom letter, and the bottom letter in the Nordic rune side is the letter that's blank. It's just a blank stone. And it's called weird, which is where the word weird comes from, because there's this infinite potential and this idea of fate, destiny, the void, and infinite possibility. So our outcome here, although we've got some chaos, is infinite potential, that sometimes a storm will come through and wipe the slate clean, but then we have a clean slate to start over again. So there's infinite potential here with the weird, with the blank at the end of our reading here, that where we're going to find joy is that we have the opportunity to start over. It reminds me of this poem, I think it's in Japanese, that says, "The barn has burned down, but now I can see the moon." So this idea that chaos is going to come in and wipe things out, but it leaves us with a blank page, something that gives us the opportunity to start again. And over here on the Hebrew side, we have the letter Pe. And Pe is the letter that represents the mouth of the divine. The mouth of the divine speaking. Pe is the word for mouth. But it's this idea that the mouth of the divine is that which spoke creation into existence. So the Pe represents this potential for out of nothingness, out of this void over here on the Nordic rune side, we get to speak into that void whatever we want to see in the world. So we might have an empty loom, and we can fill it with whichever thread we want. This pei is also about time and spiraling. So there's this spiral linear idea of time, that it goes around in a cycle, but it never comes back exactly to the same spot because it's spiraling up and it's spiraling out. So it's got that concept of infinity as well. It's the number 80 in Gematria. So the number 8, which represents that infinity loop, times 10, which gives us this ultimate manifestation of the infinite. So this can represent the divine itself, the mouth of the divine for sure, but just the infinite, the ultimate infinite, which is the divine. And the weird, the blank, is also represent however you perceive divinity. So our outcome here is manifestation through speech and the divine mouth, the divine itself, this idea of endlessness of time and the endlessness of the divine potential. So Our Lady of the Amber Loom gives us this idea of our thread in the big tapestry of things, that we can find our wealth and our worth right now in whatever it is we are tending, whatever it is we are weaving, that our power comes from this wealth that we get from the work that we're doing, internally spiritual work, maybe in the world work, maybe family, maybe tending to children. And there goes my chime that's saying, yes, that's one of the things, is tending to the children. That which gives us wealth and worth is the thing that's going to also bring us joy. That our fear might be about chaos and the changing of the tides and weather and endings that we are fearing, but that storm will create some imperfection that then gives us a signature piece, something that's unique to our own particular thread in the tapestry. And the outcome is a closer connection with divinity. It's a closer connection with this endless potential, this ability to speak what we'd like to see in the world. So a beautiful reading for those of you who chose Our Lady of the Amber Loom. I hope you found this interesting, and I hope you find your joy at this time in the month of Adar as we come up on the full moon later this week and the holiday of Purim, which is all about joy. So I'll see you here next time. Hello, card number 2, people. First, let's take a moment to turn over your card and see what we have. Oh, lovely. Let's take a look at this. It looks like we have a center circle and 4 different faces sort of coming together. Very distinct characters. And this particular card is called The Old Ones Dancing. Old Ones Dancing. So I'm going to read to you from the book. And the first part is sort of poetic. And then the second part gives us something a little more concrete, though not much. The first part is called The Spin. And each of these cards in this deck has a spin and a thread. The spin is the poem. Unravel at the threshold. The bark is thick with night. Door of deep and power, she asks to stop the fight. Ages pour down through her. Time, take hold his hand. Right is a wheel evergreen. Right is a star falling bright and clean. Hold the thresh. Leap the bone fire. On the far side wait the ones whose forms they've always carried. On mounds of the dead they go praying, counting stars and what will fall. From the mounds of the dead they are listening, the ones who know are near, the ones of clan and hoping, the ones of future's turn. Hold her, fill her, know her, save him, trust him, wait. Here come the old ones dancing. Tend the holy gate. And the thread. On the mounds of the dead, your newborn is brought to be blessed. Out of death, life. The moon carries her own darkness and is always dying and being born at once. From this portal, the wise ones speak. From this opening and the moon's face, scry what is complete in yourself and offer thanks. With these eyes, you can see in total darkness. Trust what you can see in total darkness. There are elders who would guide you so that what you have kindled finds its way to the full light of consciousness. Let them help you open this portal. Seek the most ancient, quiet, and kind. Here are the thresholds. Make space for benevolent and helpful primordial spirits to open the gate between ages. Rest in completion. Begin. Wow. Okay. Old ones dancing. From what I can tell of this particular card, poem, and thread, is that there's something new that is coming in to be born. And these old ones, who are the ancestors, are here to surround. It says several times that there's the mounds of the dead, but a new birth that is coming up. So let die what needs to die, and the new will be born. And then you'll be able to see in darkness and know that the ancient ones have your back. So let's pull out some Hebrunes and some Nordic runes. We're doing 3 of each today. And it's going to talk to us about what is going to bring us joy right now. Such interesting cards. So at the top, on this side, we have the Sooth, which is our blank. In the center, we have Ayin. And at the bottom, we have Dalit. Nice. And for our Nordic runes, at the top we have the Ingwas. In the center we have Degas. And at the bottom we have Hagalas. All right, so our top position here is what is currently up for us, what is currently in the process of bringing us joy. On the Nordic rune side, we have Ingwas, and Ingwas is Ing's rune. Ing is Frey, or Freya, the fertility god. So a new beginning, it's about a seed being planted or creating what we can with the materials at hand. So it's bringing us back to that idea of birth, that birth that is coming on the mounds of the dead. So a seed is being planted right now. This is the thing that's bringing us joy, this newness, this new seed, this creation that is available to us, the power of creation that is showing up right now. And maybe about spring coming in the Northern Hemisphere with all the buds coming out and the leaves, the sprouts breaking forth from the ground. There's some kind of creation that's coming from the decay of winter, that composting that is allowing for new life. And that's the thing that's bringing us joy in this moment. And over on the Hebrew side, we have the blank, the Ein Sof. Ein Sof, which means literally without end. So it's that substrate, the blankness, the bare earth, the universe before the universe was created, the wholeness of the divine. So before creation, our story tells us that there was nothing but divinity. So this is pure divinity, the infinite, the unending, and again, the potential for anything new coming in. So that's where we are right now. And there's my random chime saying, ding, yes, that's correct. The Shekhinah is here, the indwelling presence, the divine that is, that is the substrate onto which everything else is created, that everything is made up and carved out of divinity. So we have the blank, the earth, and then we have the seed that's planting in it both here at the moment, at the now. Our center position is that which is our fear or challenge. And over on the Nordic rune side, we have Degaz. Degaz is the breaking of the dawn. It's illumination, the full light coming in. So we have something that's going to light up. Like when we have this blankness before creation, there's nothing, not even darkness. And then the divine says, let there be light. And this illumination comes in and lights up everything so bright that it might actually be painful. That we have something that is going to show up, that is going to be illuminating everything, and it'll illuminate both darkness and light. It'll illuminate anything that is hidden, and it will allow us to see what we want to see. And over on the Hebrew side, we have ayin, which is the eye, the being able to see. So it's a fear or a challenge. When the light comes in and starts shining so brightly, it can be alarming, both because it can be painful and when we've had no light before, to suddenly be able to see things. It can be frightening to suddenly be able to see things. Again, ayin is that eye. It's the eye of the divine watching over us, but it's also our own eyes being opened. So this is beautifully appropriate. Ayin is also the number 70 in Gematria, so it represents an ending, 7 being the days of creation, and 10 times 7 being an ultimate manifestation of that finality, that completion of creation. So we have this idea of the ultimate manifestation of something coming to an end, but we're seeing everything as that happens. We're having our eyes open completely. When we have our eyes open completely, everything is illuminated and we can see all, and it can be a little much. That seems to be the story here. That's the thing that we're fearing or is a challenge for us at this time. The other thing about ayin is that it is in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, the foundation of laughter. So as we're finding our joy, we may be startled by our eyes being opened. We may be startled by this degas, this dawning, the breaking of the day. But once we are able to see, we can find laughter in it. That even though the ancestors have come before us, represent this death that has come, the birth that's coming in will also give us laughter. So we have this seeing and being watched over and vision and ultimate completion, all a fear or challenge right now. And then when we get to the outcome, which is our advice or possibly the outcome of the situation, given no other information. On the Nordic rune side, we have Hagalaz, and Hagalaz is the hailstorm, and it's complete and utter chaos. So chaos, wildness, this storm that is weather, and it's coming in, and we have maybe no control over it, but it's just blowing through. So our outcome on the Nordic rune side is chaos. And that can be really concerning until we realize that we are the storm. That we also have that wild, untethered potential within us. And if we can tap into that with that seed and with that illumination, that we become the storm, that we don't have to fear it. And our own wildness can mature and come into play. And I think that's a wonderful thing on the wings of our ancestors here, who are looking over us, watching over us, making sure that we are protected and that the thing that we're about to give birth to is blessed by them, that we have the potential for great, fantastic new growth and wildness, a holy wildness that's coming from this. On the Hebrew side, we have Dalet. And Dalet is a doorway. It is a birth canal. It's the liminal space through which everything passes to become born in this world. And it's also potentially the doorway out of this world. So that dichotomy between birth and death is wrapped up both in the Dalit. So big changes coming, that on the graves of the ancestors, the newborns are blessed. Through that doorway, life comes in and life leaves. Dalit is also connected to the transformation of wisdom and foolishness. So the wise ones are watching over us, watching over the foolishness of us on this planet. So we can trust in the idea that the patriarchs and matriarchs of old are watching over us with the Ayin here, and that we are being birthed, even as we feel we might be dying, even though we feel that chaos, that we can harness that or release, maybe surrender into it as we pass through the doorway, as we find our own humility. Dal also means poor or humble. So our outcome here is a transition, a transformation of some great portal to the other side, some kind of doorway that we're passing through here. And it could be a birth, and it could be a death, and it could be both, because we have all those messaging in here. So with our old ones dancing, they're circling around us and creating this space for newness to be born. That we have the blank earth, the blank page, and the seed that then is planted in it. This potential for creation coming in. And the infinite here giving us the space to create. That we have a breaking of the day, the ability to see, being watched over, and being able to see through the brightness that's coming from the dawn. And although it looks like chaos, harnessing that and recognizing that we can tap into our wildness and step through the doorway to be born, to allow what we no longer need to die, so that from that pile of ashes, the phoenix can rise. So beautiful reading, a way of finding our joy is recognizing and allowing death to happen so that new life can be born. What a beautiful reading for those of you who have chosen card number 2, the old ones dancing in the Sooth deck. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll look forward to seeing you here next time, hopefully near the new full moon coming in at Purim, near the end of this week. We'll see you soon.